week's question is, what is an LLC? So LLC stands for Limited Liability Corporation. Now, before your eyes glaze over and you click out and you're like, listen, I don't want to know what a corporation, I don't want to know what any of this stuff is. It's not my jam. You're right. It's not mine either, but it's important that you know what it is. So that way, when your accountant, your attorney, anyone like that talks to you about whether or not an LLC is a good fit for you, you have a little bit of background knowledge to know what it is and why it might be a good option for you. Now, an LLC is one type of legal entity that can be formed to operate your business through. They're very popular because they provide the same limited liability as a corporation, but are easier and cheaper to run. If you're starting a business or currently running a business as a sole proprietor, you might consider forming an LLC. This is especially true if you are concerned about limiting your personal legal liability as much as possible. LLCs can be used to run almost any type of business. But again, you want to consult with your team, your accountant, your bookkeeper, your attorney to make sure that you're making the right decision about which entity to form for your business. Now, an LLC can be used for any size of business. It could be for you just by yourself or a business with many co-owners. LLCs are also the most common legal entity used to own rental and commercial properties. So, what are the benefits of an LLC? Number one, personal asset protection. An LLC provides its owner or owners with limited liability. That means you, the LLC owner, are generally not personally liable for any debts incurred by your LLC business or most business related lawsuits. Because you're not personally liable, creditors or people who file lawsuits against your LLCs can't collect against your personal assets like your personal bank accounts, personal car loans. They're limited to collecting your LLC's assets, like the LLC's bank account. Number two, pass-through taxation. LLCs ordinarily provide their owners with pass-through taxation. So the profits or losses that the business incurs pass through the business to the owner's personal tax return. Such profits are taxed under the owner's personal tax return. Single member LLCs are usually taxed the same as sole proprietors. The owner reports the LLC's profits, losses, deductions, or Schedule Cs, and files it with his or her personal tax return. An LLC with two or more members is usually treated like a partnership for tax purposes. The profits or losses are reported on the owner's personal tax returns and taxed at their personal rates. Because LLCs are usually pass-through entities, their owners can qualify for special pass-through tax deductions that are created by tax laws. This deduction took effect in 2018 and is scheduled to continue through 2025. Again, consult your tax professional for specifics, anything to do with tax laws. Number three, simplicity. An LLC is the simplest business entity to form and operate. Unlike with a corporation, it's not necessary to have officers, directors, a board, or shareholder meetings, or other administrative burdens that sometimes come with having a corporation. Number four, flexibility. LLCs provide enormous flexibility when it comes to ownership, management, and taxation. There's no minimum or maximum limits on the number of owners, also called members. Many LLCs only have one member, like me, but an LLC can have 5, 10, or hundreds of members. LLCs can be managed by their members, that is, all the owners share responsibility for the day-to-day running of businesses. They also have the option of designating one or more managers to run the business. Managers can be designated members, non-members, or a combination of anything in between. LLCs can also choose how they want to be taxed. They are usually taxed as sole proprietorships or partnerships, but multi-member LLCs or sole proprietor LLCs have the option of choosing to be taxed like a corporation. This is easily accomplished by filing a document called an election with the IRS. With corporate taxation, the corporation pays taxes on the business profits at the corporate tax rate. With S corporation treatment, the LLC remains a pass-through entity with profits passed through the business to the owners to be taxed at their individual tax rates. But such distributions are not subject to Social Security and Medicare taxes. 5. Credibility. Forming an LLC to own and run your business helps give you credibility. It reassures customers that yours is a real business. You'll also have an official name to use, Jillian LLC. Now to the disadvantages of having an LLC. Number one, cost. It generally costs more to form and operate an LLC than to just be a sole proprietor or a partnership. Filing fees must be paid to legally establish the LLC. Although not legally required, it is highly desirable for LLCs to adopt a written LLC operating agreement laying out how the LLC will be governed. Once the LLC is formed, annual fees and taxes will be paid to the state. Now, this can vary from state to state. So again, check with your expert team, also check with your state. Number two, investment disadvantages. LLCs are not ideal for business owners who seek outside investors. This is particularly true if you're looking for funding from venture capitalists who ordinarily will only fund corporations. Corporations work best for outside investments because stock can be issued in exchange for investors' money. Outside investors can invest in LLCs and receive LLC ownership interests, but this can be more complicated than with a corporation. So, again, the important thing to remember is to talk with your team, make sure that you're getting the correct advice from your accountant, your attorney, to make sure that you're setting up the proper entity. Because the honest truth is, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes you could make mistakes because you don't know the questions to ask or the answers or the right way to go. So make sure that you're talking with a qualified professional to make sure that you're getting the right thing for your business.